All right, my fellow agents, we continue our trek into this super scary season of October and Halloween and so in with Equinox from 1970 or 71, depending on what you read and where you read it. This the making of the movie, the story of the making of the movie is far more fascinating than the movie itself is. It's not, this version is good, but we'll get into that. Before we do, though, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this movie. It was very influential. Take a look at, The Evil Dead to a degree, and of course the terrible Blair Witch Project. But let me know what you think about it. Sure. And we will be discussing the original from earlier, 1967, at some point, which is mercifully a bit shorter. But having said all that, before we get too much more into this, let's roll.
A world-famous scientist, greatest living master of the occult, has mysteriously vanished. In his place, a huge and fearsome prehistoric monster suddenly appears. What happened to Dr. Waterman? Only one man, last to see him alive, knows. And now he finds himself in deadly peril. The weird, the unbelievable, the supernatural come alive before your very eyes in Equinox. The invisible barrier between good and evil, between light and the forces of darkness. What is the secret of the 1,000-year-old book? See 4 teenage boys and girls fight a devil cult for their lives, their sanity, their eternal souls in Equinox. In supernatural color. Equinox!
Okay, since I forgot to show this previously, everyone get a good look at it? All right. So here is the screen grabs here came from the Criterion DVD collection. I want to say it was 338. This was released back in 2000. This says 2006 copyright. So I do have some involvement with that. Due to being friends with the producer of the DVD. And if anyone should have done it, it was him. That would be one Brock DeShane. I think you can still buy this anywhere you look for it. It's really worth it. It's jam-packed. 2 discs, 2 movies, and a shit ton of extras, except for the 8mm version, which I told him to do, but he wouldn't listen to me. All right, let's get into it. This is the Jack H. Harris version. It was released in 1970. It runs 82 minutes. The budget, once Harris got a hold of it, was $8,000, and apparently it grossed about 10 times that, over 10 times that. No, 100 times that. Math is still hard. $849,600. Why would anyone want to watch that? Quote from Ray Harryhausen. So there's the credits, the important credits there. Dennis Muren actually directed the bulk of the movie, but did the effects. You might know these people. Dennis Muren worked on some series called Star Wars, I believe, and other things. It was not written and directed. Mark Thomas McGee wrote the story. Jack Woods retooled it for the theatrical release. I believe it runs a whopping 82 minutes, and the original one is about an hour. We'll find out later. All right, there is the credits. We get a flashback scene. There is Skip Scheimer / Edward Connell as David Fielding, running for his life. And there's an unmanned car that wipes him out. And then these good guys pick him up, and Jim Danforth is one of these people as well. So flash forward a year from then. The reporter there, reporter Sloan, is Jim Phillips, and he's gone to interview old David, who's been locked in a mental institution. And there he is with the doctor, not Dr. Waterman, it's Dr. Johann. I don't know about that. Anyway, there he is, and he's got to be holding his cross. That's the cross there is essentially the MacGuffin of the movie, aside from the book. The reporter tries to talk to David, and he assaults him, but he ends up with this cross somehow. Dun, dun, dun. It's been a year and a day since David showed up. And he's always yelling for this guy named Mike Ross. Don't ask me why. So we go to the flashback there when David got in. They interview him and record everything. So they have a friend. This is, I think, one of their teachers. That's Dr. Waterman, Dr. Arthur Waterman, played by fantasy book writer, science fiction, horror, and fantasy Fritz Lieber. And I've read several of his books, quite highly recommended. So we flash back to so we're in the flashback. David meets, I want to say that's Vicky, or I don't know. It's either Susan or Vicky. I get them confused. And there's Frank Bonner, who we would all know as the late Frank Bonner, as we would know him as Herb Tarlick from WKRP. And his clothes he's not wearing stripes or anything. Go figure, or plaid. He's with his girlfriend. He's got this great new camera. I like the scenery here, so we get some shots of that. And they're going to have a picnic in the mountains with Dr. Waterman, but his house has been destroyed by something. And then we meet the park ranger named Asmodeus. Subtle? No. Could have called him Ozymandias or something. But that is the director himself, Jack Woods, keeping costs down. So all of the effect stuff comes from the original cut. So there she is looking at I think that's I don't know which, short blonde. They're all looking at it. And there we see Bronson Canyon, which is much smaller than you would think it was. Frank is Jim Hudson, and he finds these strange footprints, big footprints. The canyons are small, so and there's that's the old man in the cave, which is Irving L. Lichtenstein, and he talks about the book. So he gives him the book. The book becomes the MacGuffin too. Out they go into the daylight, and instead of going home, they're going to stick around to find Dr. Waterman. But they do have their picnic with Kentucky Fried Chicken and all kinds of things, greasy old food and Coca-Colas that they throw cans into the river because they're jerks. They're pretty likable kids, though. They're supposed to be teenagers, according to the trailer there. The good old Hollywood. They're not even from Hollywood, but not from Hollywood. So they're trying to pry open the book, but old Jim gets it open. They're acting because it stinks when they open it up. Wasn't that a clue? Although these pages are pristine that we see, the girls are yelling at him to eat. Come eat. We didn't make all this food for the ants. See, pristine pages. And this book has gone through a lot, and it will. But they can't read the writing, although Dave's sure trying. He's not even eating. Then Dr. Waterman appears, grabs the book, and heads on the stream. Bloosh. He's dead, Jim. That's Frank. And Dave's all upset. I can't believe I just tackled him into a stream full of hard rocks, and he's dead. It was an accident. Ozymandias shows up again. Says, and they trick him. They say, we don't know anything about a book. The girls are off wandering around, and there's Ozymandias with his special ring. This is one of the more uncomfortable scenes. These low-budget films, a lot of them had really interesting shots, and they'd use wide eye or fisheye lenses, and it's disturbing. But the implication is he does a little more than possess her. spiritually. But the cross she has, not Mike's, but Vicky's, chases him away. So they find a letter in here from Dr. Waterman, and we see a flashback as to how the book was written. Now, of course, there's been books all through, books of ancient lore all through time, not just from H.P. Lovecraft and the Matter Baby and whatever he's called, the Necronomicon. As we'll see when we get to Curse of the Demon, a major influence on this movie. There's a gigantic book of spells in there too. So, but he just gleefully studies it and learns how to open it. We get this flashback here. They sacrifice themselves. I want to say Brock has one of these figures, but he's seen it. But again, pristine paper and a translation guide and the symbols. These can ward them off. Crosses and ankhs and the Tao, the I Ching. I don't know what that is. But this now looks like it's written in Celtic or in runes as opposed to Arabic language. So go figure. Star of David, something I'm partial to, but my favorite is the Ankh there. And then we see this creature that one Brock DePayne said did not exist, even though I said it did. Didn't believe me. We know who he did believe. They don't see this. That was a flashback too, but now they decide that they need to arm themselves with some kind of protection so they can build this one or make it. And they do. So everyone's got it, but they don't go home. They're so dumb. So their horror movies often have to have at least one lapse of complete logic in order to progress the plot. Them not leaving and going home and saying, whatever. We're taking the book with them and going back to their car. We never see their car again. And there's the old man again, and the second stop motion monster, because the tentacled thing was the first one. Taurus shows up, although that's just what he's seeing. And then at least one of them makes use of the camera, which disappears. And Taurus shows up again, and there's really some great shots here. This is where the innovation. The movie is influential in the fact that it did a lot of interesting shots, special effects shots of all kinds, and really well done. The acting, I'm sorry, Skip himself is redubbed in this version. He's got a different voice, so maybe that's Edward Connell's actual voice. They could not find him for the DVD, but they did talk to everyone that was still living at the time, and even Forey was on it. So I highly recommend the DVD. Can't say enough about it. And old Dave is the hero and stabs and kills Taurus. That's a little model there, and they're all happy. Instead of saying, let's get out of here, they're like, let's stick around, look around some more. Taurus disappears. So, and then Vicky one of them drops their cross and attacks the other one because she's possessed by Ozymandias. I would think Ozzy would have liked this movie. Ozzy Osbourne, the late Ozzy Osbourne. They show her the cross. She just falls down plunk. I like the scenery here. See, it's creepy. Just using it with a little light and creepy roots and things. And Jim runs into Ozymandias again, who wants him to make a deal with him. Don't do it, Jim. And I thought for a minute that this is a lot of ADR here where she redubs her lines. But they decide we should get out of here, finally. But unfortunately, he conjures up the green giant or the blue giant, which is Jim Duran, also on the DVD. And this is all forced perspective. You can kind of see where the table is right there. But, they're standing about 20 feet behind him and timing it. Old Dave gets slugged, and you'd think they would have broken his ribs. Jim runs away, and they run in past the barrier. Dun, dun, dun. So this is a nice shot there. Although you can definitely see, some difference here where the plates don't quite match up, but it's all right. If you see it in the movie theater, you're not going to be noticing it because it moves by. I've seen this 4 or 5 times. I didn't remember all of it. I did remember the tentacle creature. So Jim's dead now, and Ozymandias has transformed himself into Jim, but Dave sees right through that. He's like, "You're not Jim," and we get a fist fight. He gets to slug the devil, or Ozymandias, but unfortunately, he changes back. Nice fade. I mean, it's just an easy effect to do, and then turns into this stop motion animated devil. And I think this to me looks like cell animation here, but don't quote me on that. But I mean, the shots he flies around the trees. I mean, very much influenced by the Harpies from Jason and the Argonauts. Obviously, he lands on the. I think the other blonde's dead now. Yeah, she's dead. This one runs away. There's a nice shot of models. Again, it's so fast you wouldn't know. It's nice to see that Ozymandias has pants on, or at least furry buttocks. And see, I mean, once again, if you ever have seen The Legend of Hillbilly John, you'll see a very similar scene in that with the monster bird, whatever that's called. I'm not watching that movie again. Sorry. But that teeny tiny cross, they must be believers, because if you're not a believer, that's not going to have anything to do, makes this giant creature just cower. But fly away. They're running. She's still alive even after being dropped from about 40 feet in the air. There's some lot. I mean, obviously, it's a horror movie. It's not supposed to be completely logical. But they run right. I mean, they run past this. He flies into this giant cross and explodes. She dies. Boom. Oh, Susan. So that one is Susan. Okay, so that one's dead. It's Vicky. Susan dies. And this giant figure of death prophesies that in a year and a day, he might have won now, but in a year and a day, David Fielding will die. You won't be alive. He runs up, gets hit by the unmanned car. Tape recording ends. And we return to the future, or to return to the present. There's like, well, I can't make any, he came as a follow-up, but there's nothing to follow up on. He doesn't believe it. Like, it has been a year and a day, and he's leaving. David's still yelling for Mike Ross. And he passes this blonde woman who we see as the reanimated Susan, the evil-faced and everything. And that's it. The end. Or is it? So part of it's not an issue with the movie. Now, I saw this probably in 74, 75, 9 or 10 years old, in the middle of the night with my brother. Sorry about that, Eric. On a Friday night, it was on. We were, I knew about it probably from Famous Monsters. I'd say 75. Didn't know what it was about. Just knew it had stop motion in it. I've regretted that. It's spooky to see in the middle of the night. It's much easier to watch on DVD when you can stop it or whatever. But, it was never on again. It wasn't on Channel 2. It was on a different channel. So it was one of the movies you could order from Ken Films, and Brock did because he wanted to see the Taurus. And it says in the blurb, beware the ape monster, but it was the green giant. He wrote them a letter. They sent him back a letter saying, we don't have that movie in our inventory, with a new catalog, with the movie in their inventory. It just still cracks me up to this day. So this is a trademark of Jack Harris, the Blob, Son of the Blob. This movie, I want to say even maybe The Legend of Hillbilly John has it in it, but who knows? They always, and then of course Star Trek, Godzilla 2000, the U.S. cut ends with a question mark right out of there. So I like the movie. I like it more now as an adult, I guess, especially knowing the production story behind it, because I was, sort of part of this. But it's not. I mean, this version is better than the original one because they didn't know what they were doing. They were just these, 7 kids, 10 kids, running around. Hey, let's go make a movie and save the family farm or something. I know they didn't really say that, but they could have. Anyway, having said all that, it's always worth a view, and I'm glad they put it out on Criterion, and I'm glad that Brock did the DVD because, again, nobody else should have and could have done the version he did, and it is as complete as possible, almost. So thanks, Brock. Appreciate it. And I also appreciate being credited as a thanks in there. But I think I should have been a lot higher. You should have paid me something. It's a joke, folks. Having said all that, until our next assignment tomorrow, the book review, this is X7 signing off and phasing out.
What happened to Dr. Waterman? Only this man, last to see him alive, knows. Equinox, the invisible barrier between good and evil. The invisible barrier between light and the forces of darkness. The supernatural before your very eyes, as 4 teenage boys and girls fight a devil cult for their sanity, for their lives, for their eternal souls. Equinox, a story that defies logic, confounds belief. Dr. Waterman, wait! Wait!
I can't believe it. It was just a fall.
What is the secret of the 1,000-year-old book? What are the unspeakable horrors conjured by the forces of evil? What is the fiendish power of the ring that enslaves and destroys? What is the one symbol that can hold at bay the hosts of hell unleashed on earth? Equinox, proving again that there is more in heaven and on earth than is dreamt of in our philosophy. Equinox! Equinox! Begins where Rosemary's Baby left off.